Good evening, welcome. We're here, Speak Up Monday, every Monday here at Tropical Nomad, 6 p.m., but we go live at 6:30. So as you may know, the first Monday of every month, we have this special collaboration with my dear friend Tracy G over here from Health Hub Bali, looking beautiful in purple, maroon, red, burgundy. It's a beautiful color. So many colors, looking wonderful. So tonight, the episode, obviously, is the future of health. It's a series this is number 15 in this series of the future of health. It's episode number 371, which is amazing. And look, what we're going to do tonight is about health. What is health? And is energy the future of health? So these will be the topics that we'll be exploring tonight. So come with us on a journey. If you're at home, I suggest you have like a pen, a piece of paper, a phone, something to write it down, because usually the gems, the gold that comes out of this, you always want to have it written down somewhere, all right? So look, we'll just start, I think, by the panel introducing themselves, and then after that, we'll come back to Tracy, and then we'll get started. So if we start off with you, Kai, introduce yourself, and we can work it from there.
Thanks, Rob. My name is Kai Jordan, and my work, along with my wife, we work in kind of the field of relationships mainly, but my background is in holistic health, things like body talk and different body-based modalities. So I work a lot with the interiority of a person, their emotions, their mind, their limiting beliefs, but also in the nervous system itself. And I like to combine, different modalities to see the relationship, like what Tracy's put together in whole health. I definitely see a top-down causation where the mind is causing ailment, but I also see a bottom-up causation where the body is causing also thoughts to be off and imbalanced, or emotions. So my lens is quite holistic, and it's typically shows up in the field of relationship, but also I've dealt with a lot of trauma. Surgical procedures have been my personal experience, my journey of healing, and so I see that show up a lot in my work.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Dr. Hasveni.
Hi, my name is Bonnick. Basically, I'm practicing integrative medicine in Kuala Lumpur. So, there's a reason why I choose to do what I'm doing, which I will share with you later. So, I'm happy to be part of Tracy because of a mission to share or give the tools to the public and the people to be in charge of their health. So, that's what we are going to learn, I think, as we go. What is health?
And look, if I can ask you, just started already, what background do you have in health? A little bit more into that will be wonderful, yeah.
So I started my journey as an MD, but I dropped it because my father was killed with a drug we call estrogenic death. It was a horrible experience for me. And then I was exploring, then I met my uncle, who is also a medical doctor, and then he introduced me to learn more holistic medicine. So in India, they are doing 5.5 years, equivalent to MBBS. We call homeopathy physician, but we learn all the modality of learning and healing the body without drug. So that's my background. And as I move into this field, I met quite a number of excellent teacher, which opens my view of healing the patient or people that I met with the different modalities. So that's where I started to explore on integrative medicine. So I learned tomography, recall healing. Basically, I practice more on integrative oncology. I see a lot of cancer patients. We use different modality of treatment, especially without drug. But we also work with oncology, So it's all about go back to find the cause of disease, and now I'm more interested to share to people and my patient about knowing the tools than just prescribing, how to heal the body.
Thank you very much indeed, Benny. So, Brother Ivan, over to you.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to make a little disclaimer. It's going to take a few minutes to get used to my Croatian accent. I hope I hope you will
We love
understand
Croatia.
what I'm talking about. Okay, so my name is Ivan Roca. I'm originally from Croatia. Lived last 10 years in Thailand and in between Hong Kong and Bangkok. My specialty is human bioenergy therapy. So essentially, what I did is that I took all these modalities that are using or claiming to use energy to heal, and I remove all the folklore from these modalities, and I look from the first principle what it is actually, and we develop a modality which is purely medical and based on the biological effect of energy. And we put it into the medical context because I believe strongly that the modern medicine works in most of the cases. In some cases, unfortunately, it doesn't work or it's even harmful. But this is what we have at this moment, since the public health is something that supports many different kinds of patients, and without it, I don't think so that it's possible to have any kind of treatment. So I want to make a marriage in between the non-invasive treatments and the modern medicine, because I think it's possible. We can learn from the both worlds, and in my case, we have the best results when these worlds are working together. So later I can explain a little bit what does it mean human bioenergy therapy and how it's actually different than other energy modalities.
Thank you very much, Ivan. And if you pass that microphone to Tracy. So Tracy, even though I think we have this understanding that everyone knows you already, let's pretend that they don't.
Yes.
So let's start from zero, if you like. Just introduce yourself so people get a good idea of who you are, and point that microphone straight at you. Yeah.
Okay. So my name's Tracy G. I'm here in Bali for the last decade on a project that I was working in Australia. But here in Bali, we've been pulling it together as a health hub Bali, a platform, a health tourism venture. But the main purpose of it is to connect people to better health. And we found that people, especially over the last 15 panels, we've painted the picture of what is the future of health and the 3 points of it being based on science, being preventative and personalised. And then how the allopathic, and that's the Western, and the Eastern medicine can meet. We're saying here in Bali we can have a model there that we can share with others. But the base of it is meeting with experts like these, bringing it to the fore that we can have pilot models and show this journey of health and guide people through. Is that right, sir?
That was a great intro. Thank you very much. So look, for those of you just joining us, so you're here, Health Hub Bali curated a wonderful panel. It's SpeakuP Monday, episode number 371. And this is episode 15 of this series of The Future of Health, Conversations That Matter 2023. And the topic for today is, what is health? And is energy the future of health? So Tracy, I'll let you start and you can lead us through on who you'd like to pick on first.
No. Yeah, it's first of all, to establish what is health. And so that's why I'm thinking with Hasveni, because in her field, in working with the hospitals, say in Kuala Lumpur, and also her access through Europe and America with the doctors there, she's seen a good thing what's been happening worldwide, and also in the last 3 years, I'd say too, there's another aspect to it. But I'll get Hasveni.
No, she's already got it, yeah. It's okay, just go straight in, yeah.
Yeah, so what is health is a good question. Even I ask myself and every people that I met as a patient, first question I ask before I go through any report, what is health? So that's what I'm going to do now. So any one of you can just say in a simple way, what is health?
The audience.
Anybody?
So you can. We have a wonderful audience here who are very vocal. I know Carol wants to chime in.
It's okay, whatever.
The ability to live to the full without pain.
Okay, next. Okay, anyone from there?
So we had live without pain. We had, just so people at home can hear, full life, right?
Okay.
Without pain. Vitality is another one. Oh, of course you want to speak. What is health to you?
To me, I agree, actually. It's the happy life without pain.
A happy life without pain. Anybody else care to chime in?
Oh, there. You're all welcome. Can join.
The overall state of well-being that I myself feel.
Yeah.
So that state of well-being that you yourself feel good, wonderful. And I'm not going to pick on you, my darling, but welcome back to Bali. What's your idea about health?
They all said it already, feeling good, I think is most.
Yes.
Feeling
yes.
good.
Yeah, if you look at the medical dictionary definition, which we learn in medical school, but none of the doctors practicing it, because our medical system entirely becoming disease system, not health system, right? So the definition of health is a sensation of well-being, of physical, mental, and social, right? And it's not merely absence of disease. A lot of time when I see patients, they say, doctor, we do all the medical checkup every year. How come, last year everything normal, this year I'm stage 4 cancer? Does the cancer grow from yesterday, within a day? You decided to come or just come grow a tumor waiting there? So the concept of health is misunderstood because all of us, as you said, we think without pain, oh yeah, I'm healthy. So being healthy and being normal, two different things. We can have normal blood work, we can have normal scan. It doesn't mean we are healthy, right? So that's what we are going to explore more about what is health. How to keep the sensation of well-being, mind, body, and also the spirit, soul. So as I explore, because I deal mainly with stage 4 cancer patient, my cancer patient are a gift in my life, because every time I see every single patient, I learn new things, right? They made me to think a lot about health, the value of health, and how to heal the body. Because most of the patient, they come with the amazing background, organic food, yoga teacher, perfect health style, yet stage 4 cancer. And I want to dig in, we always put a full stop with genetic mutation. Oh, it's all gene. Blame the gene by, right? So the more I explore, I discover many hidden things, So anyway, I'm going out of the topic. So health meal is all about sensational well-being, as I said to Tracy, but sometimes it also depends with every person, what we perceive of health, and then we act accordingly. If you think it's absence of disease, then you're going to wait until the disease comes to realize, oh, I'm not healthy anymore. Okay, let's try it, So some people, but I don't know, after COVID, even though it was a lot of tragedy from the lockdown, from vaccine, whatever, but people tend to wake up, because they feel something not right. I'm not feeling as how I used to be. So the perception of health is changing. So in short, whatever you say, it's all about sensation of well-being. And how to make us well in the physical body, in the mental. We have different tools. He's going to come out with the energy modality in healing. So he's going to come out with the modality to heal the core, the mind. So these are the people, we are coming in more on physical well-being, detoxification, because I feel the future of medicine could be also part of detoxification, because a lot of poison, a lot of chemical has been introduced every second in the planet. And you can see the graph of chemical and chronic disease go up together, right? Yes. So yeah, I can keep talking, but this is small sharing to you guys. And who's going to?
Yeah, so who would you like to address it to next? Is Kai or Ivan? Yeah.
Kai, what do you think about
What is health?
Yeah, what I've seen in kind of the 12 years span that I've been working with people, and I've worked from different levels. I kind of started in more physiological levels, working with the body, the fascial system, and I saw how it represents the emotional system. You can see when someone sits a certain way, you can see by their body posture the emotions that are stored and trapped in their tissues. And from a body talk perspective, which has a lot of different philosophies merged into one, when there's a breakdown in communication from the brain to any system, then that system will not function according to its perfect state of health, whatever that may be. So bringing back communication to the body, it requires us to be able to clear the pathways. We can do that with energy. We can do that with letting go of emotions that could be blocked in the system. We could even have thoughts. that are affecting the health of the system. The way that we think is the way that we feel. So these are the internal dynamics, but of course there's a physiological representation. So if someone has had an accident or someone holds a certain posture in their body for too long, it also creates a kind of state of mind. And over a period of time, this decline in communication creates dis-ease, which can manifest in any different form. Another way that I look at it, I was influenced quite heavily by a guy named Dr. John A. Sarno. He has some books like Healing Back Pain, but he studied psychosomatic medicine. And he has this term that he coined called TMS, Tension Mind Neural Syndrome, which is that if there's a blocked energy in the emotional system, the body will essentially generate a symptom to distract the awareness from that suppressed emotion. And he's been able to eradicate many, many different things that typically would say you can't eradicate: fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, all of these different things that they are essentially affected by the central nervous system and a breakdown in communication. So looking at it from that perspective, there's just many different ways to approach, but there's only one thing that happens: the body heals itself. How that happens is a very specific case by case with the patient and the practitioner that they work with.
You know, just before we go to Ivan, you know, there was we had this. I always bring him up. Tracy's going to smile, and if he's watching, he might smile as well. Professor Gelgel Widasuta, Balinese. He advises the governor on traditional Balinese medicine and traditional Balinese wellness, I think it is, right? And he majored in toxicology, so he's a toxicologist first and foremost. And I remember he was sitting just about where Tracy is now, where Ivan was now actually, and we asked him this question of, "Hey, Professor, so you know what is one of the strongest or the largest determinants of health?" And I was secretly, in the back of my mind, I was thinking like Balinese wellness, you know, it's going to be like a wholeness, nature, dropping in from the stars. And he said, no, it's your thoughts. Your thoughts are one of the strongest determinants of health in your body. And attitude, right? So that just kind of blew me away, because I wasn't expecting that, and you just reminded me of that, Kai. But Ivan, I'm over to you, same question.
Thank you. What is health? There is no simple answer to that. But also we have to ask whose health. Let's say that we talk a lot about negatively about medical practice. But when you look at what public health is actually doing, I would say it's a kind of military operation to keep the medical stability of the region or the nation. And actually the allopathic medicine never claimed curing or healing. Even it's illegal to talk about it. And if you imagine to apply the therapy system, for example, in Indonesia, we have 273 million people who are working people, who belong to the certain social status, who have certain educational background, who have family heritage, who have complexities that are built around them and us. It's very hard to define health only in one way, I would say. So let's say that I think that the biggest problem today with the health is actually socio-economical system, which pushes people to be under stress. So I'm talking about capitalism. I think capitalism was a fantastic system, but now we have to make some adjustments because we have technology that will allow us to live more freely and with less stress, which is very important for the health generally. Also, I noticed that when we talk about the health and about the methods that we can offer, which are exclusive somehow, right? Actually, what we are doing, it's a little bit exclusive, right? So there is a huge chunk of people who don't have access to these treatments because they don't have time. They don't have knowledge to perceive it as we perceive it. And on the other hand, they don't care because they have other stuff to do to sustain their lives. So I would emphasize this social and economical component of health as actually most important. And if we talk about the changes in health, the change will come from people like us and from people who are looking for the more vitality, more sharpness, more, to see the world with the more beauty. All right? But I think that the real change will come from the medical establishment, because now the medical system is overwhelmed with the diseases, and essentially to have an unhealthy worker in the nation, it's not beneficial. You have to pay for this. These people are not functional. They cannot contribute really to the society, and the whole society is affected. So I would say that political change and the decision of the people who are ruling the country or the countries is what will really make a change. And then we have a problem, right? Because there is money involved behind the medical establishment. There is also political control behind the medical establishment. So are we going to break it by philosophies? I think we can empower it so that there is a change, to explain that it's better to have a healthy people than to earn money on diseases. That's for sure. I agree with that completely. Also, I would like to emphasize that all the beautiful non-invasive treatments now, which are developing more and more into the scientific direction, because if you don't know the mechanism, you cannot improve the system. We can fantasize about what works, what doesn't work, but I rather know how the car works so that I can actually repair it and improve it. Yeah. So the science, we cannot neglect the science. We have to know how all these methodologies works, and so that we can improve it, that we can put them in place into the society in a proper way. And I would say that everything we do is actually somehow for the elites. It's not for everybody. And this is something I would like to really talk about, because it's time to introduce this to the wider audience, to all the people, through mainly I think that the most important thing would be education in a very early stage of development, which means we should talk about health when in a primary school. And we should, teach children the importance of the non-stressful environment, non-violent communication, what is actually good food, and how the food impacts us all. You mentioned also the pollution and all this stuff. Yeah, it's not just the climate change why we have to move to the green energy, but it's also pollution. The pollution is with the chemicals. It's behind many diseases, and of course the mental atmosphere, the mental environment is also very important. I think it's gonna happen, but it's going to take a long time until we get there. So I think these little steps that we will not be alive when this come to fruition, it's worth doing it. Yeah.
Great, Ivan. And we can see, Tracy, that one's for you. There's so much knowledge here that sometimes it's difficult to bring that into a limited time, which we will do. But Ivan, definitely want to hear more from you about that. But we take a quick break. Tracy, if you could begin to kind of wrap this up before we move on to the next question. Before you do that, audience here, there will be a chance shortly for you to ask any questions you might have. So now's a good time, if you have questions, to write them down, record them somewhere, so when your time comes, we'll pass a third microphone over here to the audience, and you can answer or ask your question. Tracy, over to you.
Yeah. So, the question was, what is health? What is health?
I mean, it's obvious what is health. If you have a disease, although maybe we don't like to talk about anymore, but I'm completely based on the diseases. So I can explain just a little bit how it works in my case, but maybe people will understand better. So I work with the patients like this. First of all, I don't call people clients because I don't sell fashion. I work with the patients. And I ask them, what is your condition? And they give me the biomedical diagnosis. It's very important because in that case I align with the medical establishment, so I can work with them, and also I'm legal, so I don't change medical prescriptions, I don't interfere with the medical decisions, and I don't interfere with the people's lives, because I think that people mainly know what is wrong in their lives, but sometimes we have to remind them, and we have to remind them in a gentle way, so that they don't feel pushed or they don't attach to us. And so once I get the diagnosis, I just read the diagnosis, and then I apply a procedure, which is essentially, in my case, it's a set of hand positions and movements that trigger the immune response through the manipulation of the bioenergy of the tissue. So it's totally down to earth. Actually, when you look at the energy healing, what you are doing is that the healer is using, or the therapist, I prefer this term.
So just to quickly, he's answered that.
This is what I want to.
Yeah, but the bio you mentioned, we want to keep people with us. So you mentioned your, and please feel free to let us know what your technique is, and also get into the
I will explain
bio.
This. So actually, what is the health in the biological sense? Health is a stable homeostasis. Homeostasis is environment which allows the cell to work with a full potential. What is the cell potential? Cell potential is to harvest energy, store energy, and to use it in an optimal way. That will express through the emergent process with clear thoughts, strong body, lots of energy, good sleep, and so on, so on, so on. If the homeostasis is broken, you have some kind of condition that is, if this condition is, opposite of your interest, this is what we call disease. Because there are people who have certain kind of symptom or a disease, but it's aligned with their interest, and they are not sick. I know many people like this. Also, in regard of the thoughts and the mind, I was always curious, because I was also thinking, how's about the mind impact on the body? What is really behind that? And then, when you go a little bit deeper into this subject, I found something very strange. There are these very bad people. There are these murderers. The mass murderers who are super healthy. Or there are these people who are they are simply not good for the society, what they are doing. They are super healthy. And then I know beautiful people who are doing everything for the society, and they get cancer. And I was always thinking, what is this? And it's not fair, right? It's not fair, but biology is not fair. Everything in this reality wants to eat me, and also at the same time, everything wants to nourish me, right? So this balance is something we have to find for ourselves. So when we talk about the health, I just want to emphasize one thing. There is no personal health. You have to understand that this illusion of separation is something that created this idea that I have to be healthy, I'm cured, I'm healed. You are never healed alone, because you don't get disease alone. There is always community, there is always family, there is evolutionary process behind it. And to have a full control of the health, that's illusion. Because we are not run by ourselves, we are run by the mechanism that we like to call evolution. We all belong to that. So my perspective, when I treat people, if somebody is healed, what is medicine actually doing? Medicine is orienting or directing evolution in a different direction. And the responsibility behind it is huge. Look what medicine did in the last 60 years. We live longer. But our body is not prepared for that. Then we get diseases we never had before, right? So this responsibility is something I was always thinking, am I actually just curing, or I'm also curing and producing some other diseases on the other hand? You know what I mean? And so, but I decided not to think of that, because I cannot control it. So I would say that we have a certain control over our health, but also we have to be aware that we are just a little part of the evolutionary process, and evolution obviously needs disease. So I would say that by embracing the disease, we can actually learn more about us than being, feared of the disease. I'll give you just one little example. Recently I had a dengue fever. And I know what is it. I get scared. I went to the doctor. There is no any cure. I just wanted to see what is the level, the blood sample. Is it too low? Then it can be dangerous. You can die. So the doctor said, look, if you start to bleed, just call the hospital. I said, yeah, thank you, okay. And I just waited. So 7 days, it's horrible. It's very strong. It puts you in such a depression that I think that I went through the 7-day clinical depression. It's unbelievable. So imagine that my mental state changed not because of my thinking, but because of the inflammation. And what is the reason for that? Why you get into the depression? The body needs resources to feed the immune system, to fight the virus, and then it draws the resources from the area of the brain, cerebellum, to give it to the immune system to produce the cells that can fight the infection. And because of that, I was in the depression. So we have to understand that sometimes the states, mental states, and the state of the being is very bad, how to say, for us internally. It's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, but biologically it's actually useful and functional. And to realize that and to explain this to people, I think it's empowering, because people are questioning, why I'm suffering, what it is. Wait, there is a biology behind it. And this is actually something, if we understand this, I think it's easier for people to go through the disease.
Yeah, so Benny, round of applause. Ivan, my brother.
Yeah, he is absolutely right, because this is what I realized with my cancer patient. Because the life before cancer and the life after cancer is totally different. The disease comes, it's like a wake up. That's why some of my patients say it's a wake up call for their life, because they start living for themselves. Because a lot of time we lose the sensation of ourselves until pain, as you said, to realize that we exist. Oh, the heart is palpitation, oh, heart is there. So the disease is a language, in a way, what I learned from cancer patients, to connect us to ourselves. If we're able to connect, as you said, like the body works and healing can happen. Of course, it depends on many factors, but he's absolutely amazing message that, you reminded. It's so important that don't feel sad or depressed, even though depression can happen with illness. But sometimes it just can be, cancer is a very tough journey, yes, I agree. But the information that the disease or the reason why the disease is coming is important to realize, to feel it, and work on it. So we need people like him, because his work is amazing, because they all go back behind the reason behind why the illness happened, and to reach the core, and then to induce the healing. So maybe you can explain a little bit about your perception.
Yeah, for me, I look at health in my own personal life, and then I'll talk about my philosophy in terms of helping others. But my own personal life is about functioning, looking to bring myself at an optimal level of function, mentally, emotionally, physically. Obviously, if you meet someone who is in a really, really bad situation, that's not necessarily their goal of health. So there are measures, and it depends which state of health you're in, what you're aiming for. But I think the optimal for everyone would be to be in homeostasis, to be in an optimal mental, emotional, physiological, and also relational health, because health with your environment. Like you said, we don't create disease just by ourselves. A lot of the work that I see, people having emotional ailment, which leads to physiological ailment, is people experience trauma not by themselves. Rarely do you find a person who's like, I traumatized myself. They get into trauma due to the relational dynamics that they're involved in, right? So this is something that if we're not addressing the relational dynamics, even if we bring people into homeostasis and they go back into the environment, that has an effect on them. We have to be able to address it at all of that level, where relational is important, physiological is important, chemical is important, mental and emotional is important. And then on some level, we can say that people have to be connected to that source of healing within themselves. We can call that what we want, but that can be a very physiological thing, all the way perceived as a spiritual thing. But at the end of the day, it's that the source of creation, whatever is healing their body, whatever heals your cut from within, that can function in such a way that it can address whatever is presenting. Now, I have to agree that most of the symptomology that we're treating to cure is there as a message. So it's not really disease. The disease is internal, but the presentation of the symptom is telling us this is what's going on. There are various modalities which come from Chinese medicine, but they map out through the meridian points what the consciousness of each body part is. So you can know the story of someone knowing which part of their body is not functioning. And by understanding that, you can track back to the experiences or whatever might be going on in their internal process that's obstructing the natural process. So for me, health is essentially to be in harmony within yourself and your environment.
Beautiful. Tracy, over to you.
I think if we can go on to the energy side now, what is energy?
What is energy? Yeah. Energy is a capacity to do work in physics. So when we talk about energy, I like to remind people about the terms we are going to use. So if it's not a problem with you, I would just like to set it up, because we like to use term energy in an emotional sense to describe emotional states. So I'm not on that side. This is not my business. My business is to describe how the energy healing actually works, because there is a biological effect of the energy healing. And in modern medicine, we are actually using radiation to treat and to diagnose people already, last 150 years. And the so-called energy healing from a supernatural and I would say spiritual side is with us forever. Why? Because essentially it's about very simple fact. You have a human-to-human interaction that leads to improvement of the health. And I was always intrigued by that, because we have this sophisticated machine that can do that. So why not use it? So I have the whole hospital I have in my hand, and the patients have the pharmacy inside. So why not, use it, right? So I was always thinking, okay, what is the same, what is similar in all these energy modalities we have everywhere in the world, right? The most famous is, Qigong, but it's because of the popular culture, it's because of the Kung Fu movies. But actually, the energy treatment is known everywhere. For example, in Croatia, in every village, you have a grandma who is, putting, it's just everywhere, right? But I was always thinking, okay, we have this notion of spiritual healing, so on, so that's fine. But I cannot measure this, and I cannot do anything sensible with this, right? So what it is? So the only thing that is similar in every energy treatment is healer's hand and the response of the patient body, right? So the only thing that the hand can project is the electromagnetic or bioelectromagnetic field, which is caused by the bioelectrical activity of the nerves and the cells. And this is something we can measure, actually. And this is what I did, because I wanted to see, when people are doing these strange movements, what is happening electrically? What is the patterning of the hand? So we put that on the paper, and the next step was, okay, so what is happening if I do this or that movement, or I hold the hand in this or that manner in a certain part of the body? Then you get, through the infrared investigation, you get the response. What is infrared picture of the body? Nothing but the metabolic response of the body, right? So once you see that, you suddenly start to understand that certain movements will reduce the metabolic functioning and certain movements will increase it, right? But there is a trick. Whenever you do something with the hand is sometimes tensed and sometimes is relaxed. So when you tense the hand, you are essentially sending the electrical signal into the palm. You just tense it. And the upper motor neuron is producing the signaling which is going into the hand. So to direct the energy, you don't have to think. And there is one interesting thing about the body. I want to emphasize this. Actually, you don't have to believe to be alive. You don't have to think to be alive. Every single processing in your body is happening on a subconscious level without your knowledge. It's actually all done for you. there is a question of free will there. Do we have a free will or not? This is a philosophical question. We will not go into that because from the position of the superdeterminism, we don't have a free will, right? But let's not tell people that they don't have a free will. They will be empowered to do very bad things. Okay, so why I'm telling this? Our body always wants to be in balance, in homeostasis. So if I can change this balance by damaging the body in such a way that it will not endanger the life itself, I can provoke immune response. And what heals us? What is behind all of the healing? It's the immune response. And immunity is not just about protecting us from the pathogens. Immunity is about development, the whole development and the essentially rejuvenation of the tissue in case of the disease. What is a disease? Disease is when you have a damaged function, damaged tissue, and you need to regenerate it, right? So if you can trigger this process, you did a great job. After that, you have to empower people to teach them how to live, how to maintain it, right? Because there is a behavioral homeostasis as well. So you have to learn this. So in my case, what we are doing is that we are changing the tissue electrical activity in such a way by hands that the body thinks, because it cannot resemble, is the change from inside or from outside, that the body thinks there is a damage of the tissue. And then the immune system reacts. Same as vaccination. There is no any difference. What do you do in vaccination? You implement a little bit of toxin, which is not damaging for body. The body can absorb it. In some cases, not. You have to understand that everybody's immune response is different. And if you attach to this toxin something that is informational element of the pathogen, like a attenuated virus or the part of the bacteria, debris, whatever, immune system will go, where is the toxin, and find on the side, oh look, there is a virus, there is information. Take this information and prepare for the defenses. So if you look at all the non-invasive treatments, even the homeopathy, and homeopathy is very interesting, although I don't think so it works in vibration, I think it works a little bit different. You have to damage the body to promote healing. And if the damage is small, this is non-invasive. If damage is, big like surgery, that's not invasive anymore. What is acupuncture? You damage the body. What's happening? Inflammatory process. What inflammation also has associated with? Electrical signaling. If the electrical signaling is close to the nerves that send the signal to the brain about the danger, you can essentially program the brain. How they knew it, I don't know. Nobody knows that. But obviously they knew this has something to do with the healing and rejuvenation process. So where all this can lead us, that's very interesting. How to stay healthy is also a question, And guess what? You have to challenge your body. You have to challenge your body on daily basis to promote the healing. You know what I mean? A little bit alcohol will not kill you. Damaging the tissue by exercise, this is what exercise is, damaging the tissue, putting pressure on your heart muscle and so on, that will actually keep your defenses high, and that will actually regenerate your body. So all the non-invasive treatments have this element, and why not bring it into the medicine? And actually modern medicine started to look into that through the immune therapies. What is immune therapy? They take your immune cells, they program them, they bring them back. It doesn't work because there is a problem with that, because if you take the immune cells outside of the body, they will adapt to the environment, and then they will signal to the body that they are not anymore yours. So you have to do it inside of the body, right? Yeah, so we can go into this very deep, but essentially
that's amazing. That's like a whole other episode.
It could be, but you know what? I think that every single therapist who is doing non-invasive therapy is actually doing this. Some are aware, some are not aware. I think it's important to bring awareness so that we can improve what we are doing, because nobody's perfect. I'm also just learning. I treated thousands of people with incurable diseases, but there is always something new. There is always somebody new with something I never heard about it before. And then you learn from this patient and you go forward, Then you have medicinal advancements. I don't know. We were treating, for example, Alzheimer's in one way as an inflammatory disease of the cerebellum. Then 10 years ago, they said, look, guys, there is a problem with the microbiome. Microbiome, okay, what's the microbiome? How it influences the mental processes. Then we treat the microbiome as well. Now we have even newer information about the vagus and so on. So then you just adapt to what medicine knows, but in a non-invasive way.
Amazing, Mamma Mia. So, Veni, so over to you. You got Kai's. Yeah, that might be Kai. Yeah, that's good. No, you got it. Yep, just take that. That's good. Beautiful. So same question to you, right? So the question, Tracy, was what is energy?
Yeah, I asked, what is energy?
Yeah. So what is energy for you?
Actually, energy medicine is very new to be Johannes. I need to learn from him. But I know vital force, vital force. So in homeopathy, the concept of healing, it's about eliminating the obstacle for the body to heal. And then the vital force is our life force, awaken, and healing happen. So yeah, to elaborate about energy medicine, I'm not the right person because I haven't explored to that field. But as I learning from him, and I have seen some of the practitioner practicing, but I don't have any personal experience with energy medicine.
Great.
Yes.
And same question to Brother Kai.
Yeah, in the way that I see it, because I've studied various energy modalities, in terms of health, I guess we'll relate it to health, because we can talk a lot about the modality itself or the way that the physiology works. But in terms of health, everything in your system requires a certain amount of energy to function. And if it doesn't have the necessary amount, then it will become underfunctioning. Right? So I guess in the Chinese medicine perspective, we look at things as overfunctioning or underfunctioning, and sometimes we have overfunctioning aspects of our body. Again, they're trying to create a balance for another part. The other thing that's really important is, this is just to help any misconception. When we look from our lens of how most people have seen health, we segregate the different compartments. We say there's a immune system, and we say there's a respiratory system, there's an arm here, and there's a leg there. It's just one thing. It's just one thing. That's what I learned in fascia work. If I have a tissue here and I twist it, it's going to pull and kink the whole system. So we have a very integral system. There's no one system that is in charge of everything. There's no one system that is also the cure of everything. It's all integral. If the body will use various systems to balance out the other systems. So again, it comes back to the harmony, comes back to energy levels. Do we actually have the energy to process the disease, right? With stress, you use a lot of energy. I went into silence the other day. I came out and I spoke, and I realized how much energy it takes just to speak. It's incredible. The amount of energy you use and waste speaking words that maybe don't even speak what you want to mean, right? So practice, a simple practice I have is just to try and say what I want to say in less words. I'm conserving energy, right? Where can that energy go? It can go towards other things. So we are energy consumption machines. We only have a certain allotment, and in the day, not all energy comes from food. A lot of energy doesn't come from the food, from actually digestion. So we have to understand that there are other elements involved in terms of our healing, and a lot of it can just be the way that we use our energy. The cause of our disease can be the way that we use the energy that we're given in the day. Yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Thank you. And look, what I think will be great, I know we have more questions, but maybe if you grab the third mic from Kai, because we like to keep people on the same page, and sometimes with this health hub, it can go deep, right? And people are like, ooh, they're beginning to either be kind of pushed out for the amount of information that they're being asked to kind of digest or assimilate, or sometimes, a word is spoken and it might not be understood, and then you can kind of drift out of the conversation. So one way why we have a third microphone is to keep everybody engaged. So if you have a question, just remember that there's no silly question. It could be a very simple question. It could be a very complex question. Try go for the simple ones if you can. And what it is it's a reflection of the people here, this collective energy that we have. So if you're not feeling confident to ask the question, I urge you to ask the question. If you are confident to ask the question because there's probably someone else who wants to ask the same question but doesn't because they're overcome by fear or something. So please, just raise your hand. We'll pass that microphone around to you. Remember just to point it at your mouth. And I'm sure questions are going to come up pretty soon. We'll go back to Tracy, but if you have a question, you raise that hand. So Tracy, back to you to lead us. I would love to know actually about your system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your system, Ivan. I think that's where we go next. Yeah.
Okay. You mean the system of work? Okay. Okay. So in the modern science, if you like science, I would strongly suggest to research Dr. Michael Levin. He's of Russian origin. But he lives and works in the States. He put attention to understand bioelectricity in a little bit different way. And his research is very much aligned. I'm talking about the modern style research in energetics, because before him there were many people who were talking about it, but he really did a research, and all of his research is peer-reviewed. So what we know from the science is there is something that is called electron. Electron is a collection of all the bioelectrical activity in the body and outside of the body. We also know that there is a bioelectrical grid. There is a network, and this network is responsible for the development of the tissue, for the development of the whole body, including the brain. And if there is a change in this activity, that can lead to very unusual consequences. For example, in the development, if you change the electrical activity, you can force the body to have two heads, or to have eyes here, or to be completely deranged. Let's call it this way. Also, what he confirmed by the peer review research is that it's not the information that is stored in the genes that describes the geometry of the body, right? It's actually the genes are just producing the hardware, and the bioelectrical activity is informing how this hardware is going to be used. And this is, for me, this is revolutionary. Why? Because it's quite possible when we talk about the future of the medicine, in a sense like not how to stay healthy. We actually all know how to stay healthy, but most of the people are lazy. So it's about laziness, I would say. But when we talk about the healing diseases or treating diseases, is that it's quite possible that we can modify by the machines, we are not still there, but that we can modify bioelectrical grid and rejuvenate the tissue, which is essentially means that we also can regrow the limbs or the missing organs. And this is crazy. This is completely new. Why is this important? First thing, it's super cheap. You know, to produce electrical machine which can do it, it's super cheap. Second, it can be personalized, so you can have it in your pocket. So we are talking about the Star Trek technology. What is very interesting is that why this is not a very well-known public information, right? Why Michael have to go to sometimes even obscure podcasts to talk about it? Because it's very hard to earn cash on that. So how that relates to me? If you use technically produced signal, which is sinusoidal signal with a certain frequency, right? You can, it's really true, this is what we use in bioresonance, this is what we use in the physiotherapy, this is what we use in some other, medical applications. It's really true that you can access certain physiological systems and you can make a change. That's really true, right? But it's not precise. So you cannot really go precisely into that field. When you have human-to-human interaction, because we are already aligned, we have the same frequency, all of us, because we are built up of the atoms, that they have their resonant frequency. You cannot change it. Hydrogen here and hydrogen on Mars have the same frequency, right? So because we are already aligned, and how we know that? We will not be able to exchange thoughts and have the same consciousness if we are not if we don't resonate, right? Physically. So we are already aligned, and everything that is happening between us, our bodies cannot differentiate, is it the body system or is it me? Imagine what is happening now just by sitting together. Actually, when you have a group people, I'm mainly doing group sessions, there is an emergent process of completely new being, the being of the group that you just mentioned. So essentially, our body already get used to this kind of interaction. It's just normal biological phenomenon. Our bodies knows everything about each other. So how to fool the body to do something else? You do the movements which are completely unusual. Body don't know about that. This is why it looks weird. You know, when the last time somebody was doing this to you for 1 minute? Huh? You know what I mean? It's completely unusual for the body. And there is direct physical influence on the bioelectrical activity of the cell. You can measure it. So if you do that in a precise way, you can say to body, so I'm doing it on the spine. I can explain. So the spine is sending signals from the body into the spine to the brain to tell the brain, is there any change in the homeostasis? So if I reverse this process, I can initiate a false flag, essentially, to the brain. So the body thinks, wow, I am attacked. You have alerted the immune system. This is the general treatment. And after that, I do these weird procedures to tell the immune system where to go once it's alerted. And when the immune system goes in a location of, when I'm tricking the body, the immune system will find the damaged tissue and start to heal it. I don't say that it works like vaccination. There is no any difference. I don't say that this is always enough. Sometimes it's enough to do one series of treatments. Sometimes you have to do, you have to work for a year with somebody. Some conditions you cannot reverse. I never had reversal of a diabetes type 1. I never had reversal of the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. There are conditions you really cannot treat. But in most of the cases, you will have complete disappearance of a disease or improvement of the disease to that level that it's manageable by other means, right? So I think it's a big thing. It's, the philosophy behind healing, it's very nice. It empowers people. We can think more about it. Philosophy is actually very important for science because we can question things that scientists don't want to question, right? They don't want to tackle it. But can you imagine if you have a child with a pertus? It's a condition where there is a low blood circulation in the area of the femur, and then the child can develop because of the blockage of the blood circulation, unintentional necrosis, right? Which leads to the gangrene and later to the septicemia. What does it mean, philosophy, for that child? Nothing. What the philosophy means for these parents? Nothing. Do you know what they want? They just want to heal this. That's it. So this is what I'm doing primarily. And then there is this group session. This is where you use the group mind. So I treat people in front of other people. Nothing is hidden. There is no any suggestion. There is no control of the mind. So I don't suggest, I don't interfere. And actually, for me, the medicine of this type must work even if the patient is not aware of the application. So if the patient is in coma and you have energy treatment, it must work. So, because they don't know I exist, right? So because the body will respond, you want or you don't want. And it has nothing to do with the belief. I can give you one very simple thing. If you go to the sun outside, this is very simple. I can give you many examples. You go out to the sun and you believe that you will not get 10. You will get 10. You cannot do anything. The electromagnetic radiation from the sun will, come into the area of the skin. Skin will protect, start to produce the protein which can actually adapt the UV radiation so that it can disperse it in a slow way so that it doesn't damage the cell, right? So whatever you think, it will not change this fact. So this is what I'm based on. Huh? So there are things when the mind is important, so on and so on. So in my case, I mentally empower people by the way how I approach people and who am I, which means the way how I stand in front of the group, I empower people. Because you have to be a role model so that people can learn something from, they have to see example. And this is very hard, I must say. Yeah, this is very hard. Yeah.
Man, phenomenal, Ivan, phenomenal. So if we pass the microphone there to Vanny, question for you, as you've kind of led us down that road naturally, which is super cool. So what is it that you bring to your treatments? I mean, we've just had, Ivan explain to us how he treats, how he cures, which I think is phenomenal, which I haven't heard before. Thank you very much indeed. I learn something every month. I learn something new. But what is it for you and what you do? Maybe choose one instead of going everywhere. One mode that you found to be quite interesting, how you've treated it. Maybe so people here can kind of gain a little bit of a window into your world.
Yeah. So in our field, we always based on evidence, right? So we need a scan or we need blood work, but sometimes I feel, I can only know the patient is like disease-free, but how much in terms of health they are, I don't know. They look okay, but some of the patient not feeling okay. So I keep exploring, like, how can I know my patient better? And then I found one of my great teacher, Dr. Billion, about thermography. It's not a camera, it's about regulation thermography, where Tracy also kind of aware and see the value of it. So basically, it's all about, as you said, homeostasis. So thermography is like my field. So I've been using it for more than 10 years. So what basically we are seeing the picture. Basically, we are using stress with the temperature to create physiological stress. Basically, we're using cold air to create a physiological stress to the body. So we measure the body before stress and after the stress. Similar to cardiac stress test, where we ask patient to run on the treadmill and then we see how the cardiac react to the stress. So why it makes me explore deeper, because I start to see more information which I hardly can see in the blood test, because it's all about finding out the disorder, because health is about homeostasis, and that's what I always looking for, to help the patient to achieve the homeostasis level if possible. So thermography will give me a window which system not in order. Right, and now more or less I can see toxicity. And Bali is very famous for heavy metal. I don't know why. I told Tracy, every time I do thermography, people around here, even though they doesn't belongs to Bali, they live 2 years, 3 years. I can see, if I do 10% the scan, 9 out of them will have heavy metal. So it gives me a window. So help me to understand which system not in order. And then I help them in a non-invasive way by, as I said, Tracy also have many tools. We detox the body, because toxic is always a burden for the body to get better. So we detoxifying, we use functional medicine method, we use supplement. Sometimes I can also see emotional blockage. So it's all about the physiological expression, because I learn, new German medicine. It's about recall healing. How the disease how the emotion trying to express the internal disorder. So this book is one of my favorite books. I work with all my patients. First, I was very skeptical when I learned with my friend in States, but every time I go through the disease connection with the emotion, I was very surprised, because 90% most of the chronic disease have the background of emotion. So I work with many therapies. So we have family constellation. My friend Andrea does that, and I get to know him. So all these help a lot my patient. So in a way, thermography is my strength, because it allows me to see what I can't see in the scan and blood test, the disorder, and help my patient by using whatever modality they need to put the system in order, not only the physical, but also the emotion and mental disorder, not psychiatry disease. So because our goal, and also education, because for me, I don't want my patient follow me forever. It's empowering. The best gift we can give to the public and to my patient, I always believe, is the tool to learn that they can apply every day in their life to be healthy. Healthy means depends with their perception, but it's all about sensation of well-being. We have to be happy, because life is a gift, right? So even though it's tougher, it's okay, you know, we still can find a way to celebrate it. But we have to discover what making us unwell. So I like tomography because it helped me to discover the disorders. All right? Okay,
Got it. Thank you very much, Ivani. And Kai, so choose, I know you have quite a few, but maybe choose one that you found to be quite impactful in a way that gives us a window into your world.
Yeah, so as I like a blend, it's difficult to differentiate because sometimes the work that I'll need to do is physical or energetic. But what I've been noticing lately is kind of a process related around relationship, around distress, around conditioning as a child. So again, the environment you grew up in, there's a lot of that that's just stored in the subconscious. The way that you behave, the way that you function, the way that you even feel, these patterns, which even have chemical representations in the body, those are predominantly the cause of stress, I would say. And people playing them out in their relationships is just a recurring pattern. So what I've noticed is I do a lot of work with the nervous system, getting it to come out of hypervigilance, so the state of fight or flight, the state of trying to be on guard all the time. There are various ways, energetically, but also through the right emotional support, that people can come out of that fight or flight state. When they do, many different things can occur. There can be a healing of different ailments that they may present with, but a lot of the time what they start to do is they start to experience a safety in their body, experience a safety in their world, experience a change in their relationships. And again, throughout a certain period of time, when they repattern that, they start to notice that their natural state of homeostasis is very different, right? So we need a lot of co-regulation in our lives as individuals, right? Like with this work that you're doing, it's a lot of co-regulation. It's actually helping people to regulate their nervous system when they can't, and create a healing response from within. And a lot of the time, we're creating that disease in our day-to-day as well, in the way that we relate, in the way that we interact, in the dynamics that we have. And we need healthy interactions in order to feel like we belong and like we're a part of something. So that's in the realm that I work. A lot of it comes down to that, I would say the inner child, you can call it the inner child, but it's really the deepest level of vulnerability. It's that part which is unprotected. You know, a child experiences the world in an unprotected state. They're not physically able to protect, and they're not mentally able to protect. They rely on a caregiver to be able to provide them the nourishment, to fulfill their needs, and to also have their protection in their environment. If that fails, they can be programmed in such a way that they believe that the environment's not safe, and that runs throughout their life. So I do a lot of work with that to help reprogram that, but also to just get the nervous system. I've noticed with a lot of people who've gone through surgical trauma that just the memory, even though they've been unconscious, the memory is still left in the body. So their body is not able to communicate and come back in homeostasis. So sometimes we'll do processes to help relieve the surgical trauma, and that will help bring the nervous system back in homeostasis, and then we'll repattern into the relationships.
Great, Kai. So if we pass the mic back to Tracy, yeah, that one there. So Tracy, so just as we begin to start wrapping up, so you have some health talks coming up. So can you tell people what they are, where they are, when they are?
Yeah, particularly over this next week, we have our guests here, and on Friday, of course, we have a general talk from Ivan and Dr. Hasveni. And so there can be questions and answers and that. And also we'll be scheduling through Bali some other meetings with Ivan about the bioenergy, particularly for practitioner-only events as well, as his work is very much based, when we call it evidence-based, and we're working with the doctors and sharing this knowledge here.
And so for people to find out where, go to Health Hub Bali. It will be on the Instagram and your social media feed. So Health Hub Bali.
Yes.
And I believe that on Friday, that's in Pererenan.
Yes.
Or Pererenan,
Yes.
depending how you want to pronounce it. Great. And what time is it?
The talks will start at 10 o'clock.
So 10 a.m. till
12.
Wonderful. So 10 a.m. to 12.
Yeah.
Great. You got 2 hours, people. Don't be late. Bali late. Be on time, Bali. 2 hours only.
Yeah.
Right. So look, just to as we sum up now, is there anything that you'd like to add, or any last point that our wonderful guests could answer to kind of see us through towards the end?
Yeah, I think this is a classic example of the Health Hub Collective of practitioners who know their stuff. It is evidence-based, and they're making every effort to integrate it with the other modalities and create pathways for people to own their own health.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Well, look, we'll begin to close there. I just want to thank... sorry? Oh, we do it after. So we thank Tropical Nomad. We have Guzman, we have Hadis, we have Sister Ayu. Thank you very much, Brother Ichi, of course. So we're here every Monday. I just want to thank everyone here. Again, this is a first week of the month, every month. This is number 15, yeah. So obviously we have Ivan, we have Veni, we have Kai. Thank you so much for your time, your input, your love, your explanations. Every time I learn so much. I wish I was there writing with a pen, writing this stuff down. I can't write fast enough. You can see this episode. We have a YouTube library. As I said, this is number 15. So we can give you, if you want access to that, we can show you where to go. And obviously, Tracy G, Health Hub Bali, the founder, thank you so much as well for pulling this together and just bringing some wonderful evidence-based solutions that people can actually action and get real valuable results from. So look, we'll wrap it there. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. A round of applause. We'll have questions afterwards. Thank you.